This is how much debt I have at 25 years old.
Oh, like, don't spend money on a credit card, but like you have to get a credit card because if you...
I have been financially not doing great.
With the 2024 tax season about to start in a couple of weeks, I thought it would be a good idea to look at some videos of people going through, some hardships and have questions about financial issues and how to do certain things and tax issues. So I was sent a couple of clips from TikTok that I want to react to and then maybe see if I can, add my expertise and give some advice on some of the things that people are going through. So
this is how much debt I have at 25 years old. Okay, so let's go over the biggest and scariest one first. I owe the IRS $34,000. Yeah.
So I was able to catch a second video with this creator. And basically, she mentioned that she owed money to the IRS for capital gains. So when you sell a stock, whatever the profit is on that stock, you have to pay tax. There's long-term and short-term capital gains. Long-term is if you've held it for more than a year. Then you pay long-term capital gains, which is about 15%. Short-term capital gains is if you sell it within a year. And then you pay 20 to 25%. So I see this a lot. I see a lot of people, they sell their stock, they get $3,000 deposited into their bank account. They don't think about tax. They forget about it, right? I see people that have high yield savings account. They earn, $300 worth of interest or $500 or $1,000. They don't withhold money for taxes. That's going to come and bite them later during tax season. But most importantly, I see a lot of creators getting paid for work, for brand deals. They get a $20,000 check and then they spend the $20,000. So the IRS should be the first person that you pay when you get paid in your business or have any transactions outside of your W-2 job. Because if you have a W-2 job, your employer will just take the taxes, so you don't have to think about it. But when you're getting money outside of that, you really have to be careful. Not only federal tax, but also state. If you live in New York City, you have to think about city tax. And on top of that, you have to think about Social Security and FICA tax.
Okay, next we have my car loan, which I owe $23,295 on that. And then I have 6 credit cards, and across all of them, I owe $7,465. So that brings me to a total of about $65,000.
So to me, car loan is like, positive debt. You need a car to get around. If you have a job, you got to drive to your job. So I look at car loan as not as like debt in the traditional sense. I look at it more of like a necessity to live. When it comes to credit card debt, I would love to take a look at this creator's daily expenses, monthly expenses, do a financial audit, see where the money is going, see how you can optimize their spending, see what you can cut down on. It's very important to see what you're spending money on. I had a client who was spending hundreds a month on Patreon. Patreon is like a YouTube. You pay $5 and you support a creator. She had like 30 of those and she didn't even realize it. She was paying for her ex-boyfriend's gym membership without realizing it. So it's important to go through all your expenses every month and just make sure that you know where your money is going.
Is anybody else like early 20s and just does not yet fully grasp finances? Like, what is that?
And here's the problem. Financial literacy is not taught. Society or the elites or the rich people, or call them whatever you want, they don't benefit from everybody knowing how the financial system works. That's just how it is. They don't teach it in school on purpose. You have to teach yourself. And if your parents are not financially literate, it's going to be hard for them to teach you. So a lot of the times, like this creator, you're going to have to learn the hard way.
Do people give any financial advice to people? Because I feel like it's really important. Like, hey, make sure you're not spending too much versus what you're making.
Okay, not spending too much versus what you're making is a given. Nobody should have to teach you that. I mean, I'm sorry, but you should know that.
Don't spend money on a credit card, but you have to get a credit card because if you don't get a credit card, then you're not building your credit. And by you not building your credit, you can't get a lease or a down payment on a home. Basically, you have to get a...
So this creator is right. You have to get a credit card in order to build credit. However, there is a little loophole that I like to advise people on. Let's say you have a really bad credit and no credit card company or bank wants to issue you a credit card when you apply. What you do is you go to the bank and you give them an amount of money, whatever you have. Let's say it's $3,000. So you give them a $3,000 deposit. They will issue you a credit card with a $3,000 limit. Okay, it's called a secured credit card. So their thinking is, you gave us $3,000. we're going to give you a $3,000 credit card. If you spend $3,000 on the credit card and don't pay us back, then we will just keep the $3,000 deposit. So there's no risk in it for the bank. After a year of you responsibly paying your credit card every month, they will give you your $3,000 deposit back, and now you have a $3,000 credit card. So from there, you can work your way up the ladder. And a lot of banks actually offer this because they're in the relationship building business. They want you as a customer. They want you to get a credit card when you're 25 with them. They want you to get a car loan when you're 30 years old. And they also want you to get a mortgage when you're 40. And then they want your kids to open a bank account with them, you know, when they're 18, 20. So that's kind of how it works. You just got to go to the bank and talk with them.
Now here comes taxes. And I think taxes is only so confusing because what I do is confusing and it's not the typical way. Because like I said, I don't work a regular job. I am a fucking content creator, I guess. Whatever the fuck that is. And so I don't have just like one W-2. I have like one from TikTok.
Okay, she does not have a W-2 from TikTok and Instagram. She gets something called a 1099. A 1099 is when you pay a contractor. So let's say she does a brand deal with Nike and they give her $20,000. They're just going to give her a check for $20,000. Then at the end of the year, they're going to send her a 1099 that says, we paid you $20,000. Then she has to take out her taxes herself. So what I like to do whenever I get paid in my business, I just take out 30% and put it away. And I'm like, this is my tax payment. Because when you are a business owner, meaning when you get paid with the 1099, you are a business owner. That means you can deduct all your business expenses. You cannot do that if you have a W-2 job. W-2 is when you work for a company and you get a paycheck. Every 2 weeks, they deposit into your bank account. Your employer just takes out the taxes and sends it to the government. A business owner is like the government is rewarding you for starting a business and creating jobs. So they give you all these tax deductions. So when you take out 30% and put it away, you're not going to be paying 30%. That's just like a safety number. For me, at least.
If you make over 500, you get a W-2, no matter if it's like...
The limit to get a 1099, not a W-2, is $600. So if you make a brand deal with Nike and they paid you $400, they can issue you a 1099, but they're not required to. So unless you're earning $600 or more, the company that paid you does not have to give you a 1099. I don't know if it used to be $500 back in the day, but as of right now, it is $600.
So I guess you're just supposed to go to a tax person for that.
So I've been doing paid tax preparation for the past 4 years, and I've been an accountant for 13 years. If you need help with your taxes for this tax season, link in bio.
Don't even get me started on budgeting because I'm not even sure how to budget. Like, what? So I have to like figure out the exact amount of money to like...
So when it comes to budgeting, it's tricky because it's hard to say like, okay, I'm only going to spend $100 on Ubers this month because there's always going to be this one-off. There's always going to be this, you know, I went to a wedding, I got invited to this birthday party, it got late, now I got to spend more than 100. So it's hard. What you need in order to create a budget is something called financial clarity. You need to know exactly where your money is going, what you spend your money on, every single cent that goes out of your bank account. You need to keep track of all of it. And that takes time. It takes practice.
And I still haven't set up like an emergency fund or any of those things. Like, should I get a separate high yields for that? Because like I put like most of my tax money in my high yields. So what do I do with like...
So I have 2 high yield savings accounts. I have one with Goldman Sachs and they pay me 3.9% interest. And that's for my personal savings, my emergency fund, things like that. Then I have a separate high yield savings account with American Express. That account pays 3.9% interest, but because I have the American Express Platinum card, I get an additional 0.25. So total 4.05% interest on the Amex account. Whenever I get paid in my business, I take 30% and I just put it in the Amex high yield savings account. So I know that everything in there is related to tax for my business. And then the Goldman Sachs one, I have it for my personal savings. There are no fees, there are no penalty fees, there's no minimum deposits, just 2 separate accounts for your own sanity.
But I have been financially not doing great. I am a nurse. Even though I am a nurse and I make good money, I don't have money, which is the sad part because of the choices that I've made.
All right, so this lady went viral for being $20,000 in credit card debt. And let me just explain how easy it is to get into credit card debt. When I started working, I was making, I think, 45K a year. My rent was low. This was back in the day, everything was cheaper. So I was able to pay my expenses every month, my rent. I didn't have credit card debt. One day, I got an offer in the mail for a balance transfer. Balance transfer is when a bank tells you, transfer your balance over to this credit card and you can pay it off in 18 months with no interest. So I thought, if I can just take my entire credit card balance for the month, pay it off over a year, 18 months, basically I have $2,000 extra to spend. So I transferred the money over, and then I had all this excess cash. And then what happened? I got fired from my job. So now I have this credit card debt that I need to, okay, there's no interest, but I still got to pay it every month, and I didn't have a job. So during this time I was unemployed, I had to keep spending money because I'm buying groceries, I'm buying toilet paper, I'm buying whatever. So that took me 2 years to pay off in total. It can go very easily. A lot of people think that, oh, you know, I have this job and it's fine, I'm making this much money. What happens if you lose your job? You never know what can happen, especially now in 2025. I feel like after COVID, everything just got super unstable.
Live within your means and only buy like if you have the money for it. Stop klarning, stop affirming, stop afterpaying, like stop just swiping the credit card, because like, yeah, it may be fun like in the moment, but literally you will regret it if that stuff like just racks up and it's like years down the line and you're still paying for that purse that you bought like 4 years ago.
I made a video on TikTok how companies actually benefit from you using their products incorrectly. So one of the examples I took was credit card companies. They don't want you to just like spend money and pay it off. I mean, sure, they'll make some money from transaction fees, but how they really make their money is from you being in debt. The whole Affirm Klarna that she's referring to, I mean, their whole business model is to make sure that you go into debt. That's why they're willing to finance your purchases for you. They're hoping that you go into debt. They don't make money from financially literate people. All these products are made to be predatory. They want you to fail. Here's another thing about credit card debt. Credit cards, they charge you, what, 27, 30% interest? At least if your credit is not completely messed up, I will go to a bank, take out a personal loan. They have an interest rate of 10 to 15%. It's about half. Take out a personal loan for, I guess in this case, $20,000. Pay off the credit card with the $20,000, and then you pay off the personal loan at a lower interest rate. That will at least save you a little bit of money every month. Second strategy is, I mean, $20,000 is a high number, but let's say you had 6K. I would open a credit card, do a balance transfer. That's the one that got me in trouble when I was younger, but if you use it correctly, it can be a great tool. I would open a credit card, do a balance transfer. Let's say they give you no interest for 18 months. You're gonna be saving so much money for 18 months. That means all the money you're paying going straight to the balance.
I think it's funny that the majority of us, not all, talk to our friends about almost anything. We don't talk about like money to them. So this topic got brought up. I have like now a running partner. We used to intern together at a certain company when we were in undergrad. And he brought up to me that like we have conversations about like our career because we're kind of in the same industry. So I talked to him about like interviewing or just like my career. I talked to him about like my wage. He brought up to me that like, hey Kim, like you are like the only person that I can kind of talk to about like money, because we were also talking about like where to invest in, 401k, like these grown up conversations about money that I think a lot of us should have with our friends. A lot of us don't know certain things. Like some people don't know how to use a credit card. Some people don't know like what a 401k is, like how to save up for retirement, what a high yield savings account is. I'm also big with just like talking about pay transparency and just like how much I make, especially with people or like your friends are in the same industry, because you do not want to be getting underpaid.
This girl is absolutely right. Corporate America did a really good job as telling us or convincing us that salary should be confidential, because here's the thing. If you have a salary and someone else has a higher salary, it's not because they necessarily do a better job or they have more responsibilities, none of that stuff. It's because they're a better negotiator. In this world, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. So you can have a guy or girl come in and they're super charming and everybody likes them and they're really good at smooth and slick, and they get a higher salary than you, even though you do more work for the company and bring more value. That's why they don't want people to talk about salaries with each other, because then the employees would realize how many of them are being underpaid
by taxes. My first year as a content creator, I made $134,000, and when the tax season came around, your girl had to pay $40,000, or that's what they were asking for. So I scrambled up and I went to an accountant, and they saved me over $25,000. It's because I had no idea about the tax deductions for content creators, or obviously proper tax law. I ain't a financial guru. You can't just work with any accountant. You have to go to a content creator economy friendly accountant. And if you want to wreck, I have the best person out there who takes content creators around the country. But don't pay, like I did, 40 to 50% more than you have to.
I agree. You should not pay more taxes than you absolutely have to. That's one of the benefits of the US, even though people like to complain about this country a lot. I think there's a lot of good things here. One of them is the tax law, if you know how to use it to your advantage. Like I mentioned before, as a business owner, the government is rewarding you for starting a business and creating jobs and spurring economic activity by giving you a lot of tax breaks. So it's important that you know exactly what your rights are and what's allowed and so on. Now, I've done taxes for content creators. I've done it for small business owners. Most accountants know the tax laws. They have a baseline level of what's allowed and not allowed. But yes, if you can find a person that specializes in content creators, even better. Like I said, if you need help for the 2024 tax season, link in bio, and let's get 2025 started right. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know, if there's any other topic that you would like me to cover. Let me know in the comments as well. Thank you for watching. I'm done.